The sun is rising. Those were the last words Yoriichi Tsugikuni ever spoke. He died standing up, his sword still in his hand, staring down the demon he could never kill. He was the strongest swordsman who ever lived, and he died alone. But what if he didn't? What if instead of passing his legacy down through a lonely dance of the fire god, he was there to teach it himself? What if Tanjiro Kamado wasn't just a descendant, but a student? This isn't just a power-scaling fantasy. This is a story about what happens when the perfect master meets the perfect student, and why that combination might have ended the war with Muzan centuries early. The thesis: Demon Slayer is defined by loss. Every character is shaped by a wound they can't close. Tanjiro fights because his family was slaughtered. Yoriichi fights because he failed to save the ones he loved. But if you bring them together, the genre shifts. It stops being a tragedy of reaction and becomes a story of inheritance. Tanjiro raised by Yoriichi isn't just Tanjiro with better sword skills. He is Tanjiro without the naivete. He is a weapon forged by the very man who invented the war, the Divergence point. Let's set the timeline. For this scenario, we have to disrupt fate. Imagine Yoriichi. Wandering in exile after failing to kill Muzan doesn't fade into myth. Instead, he finds himself on a mountain path. He smells coal. He smells snow. He finds a family of charcoal sellers. He meets Sumiyoshi, Tanjiro's ancestor. And for the first time in centuries, Yoriichi stops walking. He sees a reflection of his own lost humanity in that gentle, poor family. He decides to stay, not as a god, but as a guardian. When the tragedy strikes, the winter Muzan sends his upper moon to hunt the sun breathers. Yoriichi is there. The door isn't kicked in by a demon finding sleeping victims. It's opened by an old man with a sword. The massacre never happens. Nezuko is never turned. Tanjiro never loses his family, but he gains something else entirely: a destiny, the burden of perfection. If Yoriichi raises Tanjiro, the training changes everything. In the original story, Tanjiro fights to cure his sister. He fights out of desperation. But a Tanjiro raised by Yoriichi fights out of duty. He learns the truth at age 5. He learns that the monsters under the bed are real, and he learns that his caretaker is the only man who ever made the king of demons tremble. Imagine the psychological weight of that. This is the burden of the chosen. Tanjiro wouldn't have the luxury of a normal childhood. He wouldn't be the cheerful boy selling charcoal. He would be a prodigy in the making. Yoriichi was born with the Demon Slayer mark. He was a prodigy who mastered the blade just by holding it. Tanjiro is different. Tanjiro is a grinder, someone who fails, struggles, and tries again. And this is where the dynamic becomes fascinating. Yoriichi, the man who was so perfect, he was alienated from his peers, finally meets someone who understands the value of struggle. He wouldn't just teach Tanjiro the forms, he would teach him the why. He would teach him that sun breathing isn't just a technique, it's a philosophy, that every movement must be precise, that there is no wasted effort, that the sun does not discriminate, it illuminates everything. The psychological shift. But there is a darker side to this upbringing. Yoriichi is a man defined by silence and regret. He carries the guilt of not killing Muzan. He carries the grief of his brother, Kokushibo, who turned into a monster. If he raises Tanjiro, he isn't just raising a warrior, he is trying to correct his own past mistakes. This is the psychological trap of redemption through proxy. Tanjiro becomes the vessel for Yoriichi's unfinished business. Tanjiro, with his natural empathy, would feel this acutely. He wouldn't just want to learn the sword to protect people. He would want to learn it to make his master proud, to heal the sadness in Yoriichi's eyes. We would see a Tanjiro who is less bumbling, less optimistic. He would be calmer, quieter. He would have the stillness of a lake, hiding the fire underneath. This changes his personality entirely. The warmth would still be there. Yoriichi was a kind man, despite his strength, but the innocence would be gone. He wouldn't be shocked by the cruelty of demons. He was raised knowing the cruelty of the world. The rivalry, brothers across time. Now let's talk about the sword. In the main story, Tanjiro invents his own style, Hinokami Kagura. which is a ritualistic dance. It's fluid, but it's limited by his body. Raised by Yoriichi, there is no dance. There is only the sun. Tanjiro learns the real sun breathing, the 13th form, the technique that links all forms into an endless cycle. By age 15, Tanjiro wouldn't be a Mizunoto. He would be a Hashira-level threat before he ever stepped foot in the core. But here is the most compelling change, the dynamic with Kokushibo. Upper Moon 1, Yoriichi's twin brother. In the original, Kokushibo fears Yoriichi's legacy. He hunts sun-breathers to prove that he surpassed his brother. If he discovers that Yoriichi has an apprentice, a true successor, the obsession shifts. Kokushibo wouldn't just want to kill Tanjiro. He would want to test him. He would want to see if Yoriichi's ghost lives in this boy. We get a rivalry that spans generations. The student of the brother he hated versus the demon who envied the brother he loved. It adds a personal vendetta that the original story lacked. The encounter with Muzan. Now the big question. How does this change the war? Yoriichi failed to kill Muzan because he ran out of time. He was old. His heart was failing. But Tanjiro is young. If Tanjiro inherits Yoriichi's technique and his knowledge of Muzan's weaknesses, the playing field levels. Imagine the final confrontation. It isn't a desperate last stand by a group of injured Hashira. It's a coordinated hunt. Yoriichi, the strategist, guiding Tanjiro, the blade. Or perhaps, even more tragically, Yoriichi dies before the final battle, passing the sword to Tanjiro just as the manga did. But this time, Tanjiro isn't guessing. He knows Muzan's speed. He knows his shockwaves. He has been training for this moment since he was a child. The transparent world, isn't a power-up he unlocks in a panic. It's a state of mind he enters at will. Tanjiro becomes what Yoriichi always wanted to be, a successor who can finish the job. The tragedy of the alternative. But we have to look at what is lost. In the original story, Tanjiro's strength comes from his humanity. He wins because he connects with others. He empathizes with the demons as they die. He holds their hands. If he is raised by Yoriichi, does he lose that? Yoriichi is stoic. He kills without hesitation because he sees the necessity. Would Tanjiro become a killer? Would he lose that beautiful, crying heart that makes him unique? That is the paradox of this what if. To become the perfect swordsman, he might have to sacrifice the part of him that saved everyone. The Tanjiro raised by Yoriichi might be stronger, but he might be lonelier. He might be more like a god and less like a human. Universal takeaway. And that brings us back to why this story matters to us. We often look at mentorship as a way to gain power. We think, if I had a mentor like that, I'd be unstoppable. But mentorship is also a transfer of trauma. Yoriichi's biggest flaw was that he carried the weight of the world alone. If he raised Tanjiro, he would risk passing that loneliness down. It forces us to ask, is strength worth the cost of innocence? Tanjiro's original journey was messy. He was weak. He struggled. He failed. But that struggle is what made him relatable. The version raised by Yoriichi is perfect, and perfection is boring. It's cold. It's lonely. Final closing image. So in the end, perhaps the story we got was the better one. Yoriichi died alone so that Tanjiro could live with others. He passed his sword down, but he didn't pass his burden. He let Tanjiro make his own mistakes. He let Tanjiro find his own friends. He let Tanjiro remain human, because the sun doesn't just burn, it warms. And sometimes, the greatest gift a master can give is letting the student walk their own path, even if it means the master has to walk alone. If you want more deep dives into the psychology of your favorite characters, subscribe. There's always more to uncover. Until next time.